While everyone was watching Singapore's skyline grow and Thailand's tourism boom, Malaysia quietly became the hidden powerhouse of Southeast Asia. No grand announcements, no flashy campaigns, just steady, strategic moves that position this country at the center of everything that matters in the region. And if you're Malaysian, you might not even realize how much your country is dominating right now. Before we dive in, do me a favor. If you've ever felt that quiet pride when someone discovers how incredible Malaysia really is, hit that like button. It helps more Malaysians discover what we're building here. Assalamu alaikum. Let's start with something most people miss. Malaysia controls the Strait of Malacca. Not just geographically, but strategically. Every single day, over 90,000 ships pass through these waters annually. That's roughly 1/4 of all global trade. Oil from the Middle East to China. Electronics from Southeast Asia to Europe. Everything flows through here. Singapore gets the credit for being the shipping hub. But Malaysia holds the actual choke point. Penang on one side, Johor on the other. The country doesn't make noise about it. It just quietly collects port fees, builds infrastructure, and watches the world's economy float past its shores. But here's where it gets interesting. While other Southeast Asian nations picked a lane, Malaysia picked all of them. Thailand bet big on tourism. Vietnam went all in on manufacturing. Indonesia focused on resources. The Philippines built a service economy. Malaysia said yes to everything. Palm oil? Malaysia and Indonesia produce 85% of the world's supply. Semiconductors? Penang alone houses Intel, AMD, and Infineon, making it one of the top 5 semiconductor hubs globally. Tourism? Pre-pandemic, Malaysia welcomed nearly 26 million visitors annually. Natural resources? The country sits on massive tin, petroleum, and natural gas reserves. This diversification isn't luck. It's strategy. Think about your typical mamak session. You've got roti canai, nasi lemak, teh tarik, maybe some mie goreng. That's Malaysia. Not one flavor. A combination that somehow works perfectly together. The economy runs the same way. When oil prices crashed in 2014, countries like Brunei struggled. Malaysia's oil revenue dropped, but semiconductors picked up the slack. When the pandemic killed tourism, palm oil exports surged as global demand for food products spiked. The economy has shock absorbers built in. Now let's talk about something nobody discusses. Brain gain. Everyone knows about brain drain, where talented Malaysians leave for Singapore, Australia, or the US. That's real. That happens. But here's what's also happening. Malaysia is quietly importing talent from across Southeast Asia. Indonesian workers, Bangladeshi laborers, Filipino nurses, Vietnamese technicians. The country has become a magnet for regional talent seeking better opportunities without the extreme cost of living you'd find in Singapore or Hong Kong. Kuala Lumpur offers something unique. First world infrastructure at developing nation prices. You can live in a condo with a pool, take the LRT to work, eat amazing food for RM15, and still save money. Try doing that in Bangkok or Jakarta with the same quality of life. This creates a multiplier effect. Talent flows in. They spend money. They start businesses. They bring connections. Malaysia becomes more valuable as a regional hub. More talent flows in. The cycle continues. But wait, there's something even bigger happening beneath the surface. Malaysia became the bridge between the Islamic world and Asia. This positioning is genius. The country hosts the world's largest Islamic finance market outside the Middle East. Malaysian Islamic bonds, called sukuk, dominate the global market with roughly 50% market share. Banks from Dubai, investors from Saudi Arabia, funds from Qatar, they all flow through Kuala Lumpur. At the same time, Malaysia maintains strong ties with China, Japan, and South Korea. The country joined China's Belt and Road Initiative early. It secured Japanese investment in automotive and electronics. Korean companies built factories here. Other nations had to choose sides. Malaysia refused. It built relationships with everyone. When the US and China started their trade war, companies needed manufacturing bases outside China. Malaysia raised its hand. Penang's free trade zones welcomed American tech companies. Johore's industrial parks attracted Chinese manufacturers. Everyone got what they wanted. This is where Malaysia's ethnic diversity becomes a strategic advantage, not just a cultural feature. You need to do business with China? Malaysian Chinese community provides instant connections. Working with India? The Tamil and Hindi-speaking populations create bridges. Dealing with the Middle East? Malay Muslim networks open doors. Engaging with Western markets? English fluency smooths the process. Singapore tries to sell this same diversity, but everyone knows it's essentially a Chinese majority city-state with strict government control. Malaysia offers genuine diversity with legitimate representation across communities. It's messier, sure, but it's also more authentic. Let's zoom into something specific. Education. Malaysia transformed itself into a regional education hub without anyone noticing. International schools in KL now rival those in Singapore at half the price. Universities like Monash, Nottingham, and Curtin built Malaysian campuses. Students from Indonesia, Thailand, and even the Middle East study here. Why? Value for money. Quality education. Safe environment. Decent nightlife. And credentials recognized globally. A Monash degree from Malaysia carries the same weight as one from Australia, but costs 60% less. An Indonesian family can send their kid to KL instead of Perth, visit on weekends, and save thousands. The government approved this strategy decades ago. Build the infrastructure. Approve the international partnerships. Keep costs reasonable. Let the students come. They came. Now those students graduate. Some stay and work, others return home with Malaysian connections. Either way, Malaysia wins. Here's something that perfectly captures the Malaysian approach. The country ranks as the third most visited Muslim-friendly destination globally, after Malaysia and Indonesia. But it also has a thriving nightlife, casinos in Genting, and beer gardens in Changkat. This shouldn't work. Conservative Islamic values and liberal entertainment shouldn't coexist peacefully. But they do. Mosques and temples stand side by side. Halal restaurants next to Chinese coffee shops serving pork. Ramadan bazaars and Chinese New Year celebrations. Christmas lights and Deepavali kolam. This balancing act is Malaysia's superpower. The ability to hold contradictions together without forcing everyone into one box. Thailand is Buddhist. Indonesia is Muslim. The Philippines is Catholic. Vietnam is communist. Every country has a dominant identity. Malaysia has several dominant identities simultaneously. This makes it unpredictable, complicated, sometimes frustrating. It also makes it invaluable as a neutral meeting ground. When Southeast Asian nations need to negotiate, where do they meet? Kuala Lumpur. When Islamic finance conferences happen in Asia, where's the venue? Kuala Lumpur. When tech companies want an Asian base that's not China, Japan, or Singapore, Kuala Lumpur keeps appearing on the shortlist. The city became the conference capital of Southeast Asia by being acceptable to everyone. Not perfect for anyone, but acceptable to all. Consider the physical infrastructure for a moment. KLIA consistently ranks among the world's best airports. The LRT and MRT networks expand yearly. High-speed rail projects connect major cities. Highways link even remote areas. This didn't happen overnight. Malaysia's been building infrastructure since the 1980s. Petronas money-funded highways. Government bonds financed railways. Private partnerships built airports. The result? You can drive from Penang to Johor Bahru on modern highways. Take a train from KL to Ipoh. Fly internationally from multiple cities. Indonesia, with 270 million people, still struggles with basic infrastructure outside Jakarta. Thailand's railways lag decades behind. The Philippines is still building its first subway. Malaysia just kept building. And here's the thing about infrastructure. It compounds. Good roads attract factories. Factories need workers. Workers need housing. Housing creates construction jobs. Construction workers spend money locally. Local businesses grow. The multiplier effect kicks in everywhere. Let's talk numbers for a second. Malaysia's GDP per capita sits around $12,200. Not as high as Singapore's $72,000, but significantly above Indonesia's $4,300, Philippines' $3,500, and Vietnam's $4,000. The middle class is massive. Car ownership is widespread. Home ownership rates exceed 70%. Poverty levels dropped below 5%. This created a stable consumer market. People have money to spend. They buy phones, cars, houses, food, entertainment. Companies want access to consumers with purchasing power. Malaysia provides that access. But perhaps the most brilliant move was something Malaysia did in the 1990s that's paying dividends now. The multimedia super corridor. Critics mocked it, called it a vanity project, said it was too ambitious. Malaysia's trying to compete with Silicon Valley? Impossible. Except it worked. Cyberjaya now houses hundreds of tech companies. Amazon Web Services built data centers here. Google has operations. Huawei invested billions. The tech ecosystem grew organically once the foundation was laid. The government offered tax incentives, built infrastructure, created favorable policies, then stepped back and let companies move in. Today, Malaysia's digital economy contributes over 22% of GDP. E-commerce booms. Fintech startups multiply. The country became Southeast Asia's third largest internet economy after Indonesia and Thailand. Not bad for a vanity project. So what's the conclusion here? Malaysia won Southeast Asia by refusing to play the game everyone else was playing. No dramatic transformations, no authoritarian efficiency, no single big bet, just steady progress across multiple fronts. Economic diversity, strategic neutrality, infrastructure investment, cultural balance. While others sprinted, Malaysia jogged consistently. While others picked fights, Malaysia made friends. While others specialized, Malaysia generalized. And somehow, it worked. The country sits at the crossroads of global trade, bridges east and west, balances Islam and modernity, offers quality at value prices, and maintains stability in an unstable region. That's not luck. That's decades of strategic positioning paying off. If you made it this far, hit subscribe. We're exploring more stories about how Malaysia quietly dominates in ways most people never notice. Drop a comment telling me what surprised you most. Malaysia didn't win by shouting the loudest. It won by being exactly where everyone needs it to be, exactly when they need it there. And that's a victory worth celebrating.